Hey, welcome back. If you are planning on relocating to Flower Mound or deciding to move here from across the county, across the country, there are things that you need to be looking for if you think that you might be buying a property that is a rental property. And when I say rental property, it was bought by possibly an investor or a family member had owned the house, didn't want to get rid of the house, and so they decided to lease it out. Now, in Flower Mound itself, there are some rentals, but the majority of homes are not rentals. More than 65–70% of the people that live in Flower Mound are homeowners. So there are some apartments here, so we're not talking about that. We're not talking about condos. We're not even talking, we could be talking about townhomes, but what we're going to be talking about is single family homes. And this is where it gets super important to have a realtor that you can be working with that can help you through this, because I'm going to tell you about some things that you can be looking for that they can do their own research on. So here are some signs that would tell you whether that's a rental. On the doors, on the exterior doors, if you see multiple locks and keys on an interior door, that's a dead giveaway, because by Texas law, you have to have a deadbolt on the inside of an exterior door that does not have the ability to have a key from the outside to be in. So that's a dead giveaway right there. Another thing that you could be looking at is, are there a lot of cosmetic patch jobs, like paint overspray or mismatched flooring, or are there a bunch of do-it-yourself fixes that just don't look professional? Are there several different types of flooring? Is there carpet in one room, marble in another room, and old tile in another room? That's pretty much kind of a dead giveaway, especially with carpet, because there is Lowe's and Home Depot, they have like a construction grade carpet, and it's all the same color basically. So that's kind of a dead giveaway. As far as carpet goes, is there evidence of like heavy wear on the carpet? Are the appliances dirty and greasy? Do they look like they've been beat up? Are doors beat up? Are the baseboards all chewed up, possibly from pets previously there? Those are something that you can look at and kind of say, that could be a rental. Tenants, look for stuff that would be like tenant shortcuts. Like I'm big on floors and windows and, what the kitchen looks like. So if you look at the windows and you see those inexpensive Amazon blinds, then it's more than likely that's a rental property. Quick plumbing fixes, which is not good, and landscaping that probably doesn't exist. Just dead landscaping. The yard is just barely holding on. The trees were overgrown. The bushes were overgrown. I mean, those are all dead giveaways. But here's why it matters. The reason it matters is renters don't normally treat the property like their own. It's just the nature of the beast. And deferred maintenance is pretty common. Repairs are either done delayed, or a lot of times they can be done cheaply, because they just want to keep the house running and cash flowing, right? And, especially if you're in a home where there is high turnover and there's more wear and tear. Now, I own rental property myself, but I take care of it. Whenever my tenant calls me, I've got people over there. I don't do anything myself because I want it done right. I want to take care of my home and take care of it for the tenant. And as a result, I've had super long-term tenants. I'm talking 5 to 9 years in situations. But here's the deal. This is the great thing that I got to tell you about possibly looking at a home that was a rental. So sometimes, the potential upside of this, sometimes they're priced more competitively, because you are going to have a local realtor more than likely representing it. Or in Texas, you can buy and sell property anywhere in the state of Texas. You might have somebody from Austin or Houston that's listing this, but then the owner could be an LLC from out of state, from California or somewhere, that they may not have ever seen the property and they just want to get it off their plate. They've held it for 3, 4, 5 years. It's had its run. They're making their money. They're ready to go. Or the landlord's just tired, plain and simple. I've come across several of those situations where the landlord is tired of dealing with repairs, having to fix the roof, the fence. All that little stuff adds up. It's annoying to some landlords, and they just get tired of it. Now, it could have some recent updates if the owner was keeping it in a rentable condition, so that could be good. But, it's just something as a buyer in Flower Mound, anywhere for that matter, you got to do your due diligence. And part of the due diligence, I would tell you, is a lot of landlords will have a property manager, and they'll list it on the MLS, multiple listing system service. And a realtor that you have can go in there. There's a little clock up in the corner of that listing, and you punch on that clock, and you can tell if that home has ever been a rental if they've listed it on the MLS. Now, if they've done it, if the landlord's done it on their own and put it on Zillow and everything, well, you might be able to find that information out. Zillow and some of the other websites, you might be able to find that information out. But the one thing I'm going to tell you as a buyer is number one, the inspection is number one critical. Check the foundation, the roof, the HVAC, the plumbing, foundation. And this is aside from getting your normal inspection done from a general inspector. In Texas, foundation guys and roofers, they're not going to charge you anything to come out there. So I would do it. Get a name and number from a realtor if you're concerned about it. The HVAC and the plumbing, that's going to cost you a service call, especially with the plumbing. If they've got to run a scope down, a camera down the sewer lines, or a lot of pressure testing and all that, which your general inspector will do anyways. And always listen, and the buyer's agent, they need to, and it's the funniest thing, because when I've listed properties that were rentals, nobody's ever asked me as a listing agent if that property was a rental. Ask them if it's a rental. What's a listing agent going to say? No? They got to tell you the truth. They got to disclose the truth about it. They may not know, but they know. Review the seller's disclosure carefully. And, if they've said, dishwasher's working, dishwasher's not working, you might want to negotiate that, unless you want something new. Look for, this is a little bit trickier, a little bit harder to do, but you can look for permits on past repairs or upgrades, like, enclosing a room and adding air conditioning to it, enclosing the garage, which I really don't see out here, but I see in other suburbs. But that's, the permit thing becomes just a little bit more difficult. But your realtor's role, their role is helping you identify the red flags early. It is not that buying a rental home is a bad deal. I have done it numerous times with clients, and if they know going in that there are potential things that need to be done or upgrades, and the price is right, get it. Go for it. Negotiating a credit for repairs if the home shows signs of being a rental. If you're going to negotiate something for repairs, my deal is that you should get the credit at closing and then do the repairs yourself, because you want to be able to manage those repairs and make sure that they're done correctly and not just cheaply, because especially if it's a rental property, they're just going to find the cheapest person that may not even be licensed, although they are supposed to be licensed. But it could happen. You know, and all of this needs to transpire within the option period, which I've talked before on a separate video about the option period. We can go anywhere from 3 to 10 days and get all your inspections done, and then you either move forward or pull the trigger and get out. So, you know, if you're worried about a home, and listen, rental homes can be at all different price points. I have seen $1 million plus homes that are rentals that were sold as that were rented out before. You know, some people use these homes as a second home, then they decide they're not going to be coming here and using this. I mean, there's a whole host of reasons why. But you know what? If you're worried about this house in Flower Mound, was it a rental? Well, you know what? Don't panic. Just do your due diligence. I mean, the key is knowing what to look for and having a realtor that can help you walk through that, having your realtor do as much historical work on it as possible. And, you know, if you're buying in Flower Mound or anywhere in DFW, I mean, I hope that this helps you. My name is Chris Hooper with Chris Hooper Realty. We'll see you next time.